one corporate Negro gonna fix everything? That's what I want to know. One, uno, magical Negro it up. Welcome back to Wine and Chill. I'm Stephanie, your favorite recovering lawyer, and this is a very late student loan update. One of these days I'm going to stop saying that because one of these days I will be on time. What a day that will be. So if you're ever curious about what we're going to drink for the week, I have actually kept on schedule to that. I've been posting on Mondays on Instagram at Wine and Chill. So we are going through the Maison Noir because I bought a bunch of wine from Maison Noir. It's black owned. This is bottoms up. It's upside down. So you could read it. Can you imagine if that spilled everywhere? So this student loan update is for July. If this is your first student loan payoff update that you're tuning into, all of the updates are retroactive. So usually, whatever month we're in, it'll be what I paid the month before. But this is for July, so this is what I paid in June because it's a smidge late. But I have actually a very good reason as to why the future ones most likely won't be late and to what caused the delay. So let's get into it. So the thumbnail has given away a few things before we get into that, which is really probably why you're here, to hear the corporate tea, the DEI foolery. Ooh, what else will rhyme with that? Damn, I was on a spree. Oh, I cracked me up. All right, so here's what I paid in the month of June. So the starting amount, if you're new, for all of my student loans, which is inclusive of $75,000 of predatory interest, was $304,680.17 trifling cents. Yes, I started my student loan journey in Valentine's Day of 2020 as a self-love gift to myself. And honestly and truly, I had finally made enough money where I could actually pay down my student loans. The amount I paid in June was $500. I know one payment says July 2nd. That's because Fed loan processing is slow. That payment was on June 30th. So I'm counting it. That is the smallest payment I have made at all ever in 2.5 years. For context, if this is your first student loan update video and you are finally going to start looking at your student loans, I'm proud of you. You can do it. It's scary at first. It'll be fine. In the month of May, I paid $3,000 towards my student loans. Yes, my average payment as we scroll through on the screen and see all these monies is been on average the past 2.5 years about $4 or $5 grand. Yes, of my hard-earned money towards Sally Mae, who I finally paid off, F her, and Fed loan. Why is the payment so low? We're going to get into that. And specifically in the June student loan update, I had said, I'll have some job updates for you. I foresee some changes, which is why I changed my payment. Those changes took a turn, which was very, very fascinating to me. My remainder for the month of August, the starting point is $171,415.97 trifling cents. And spoiler alert, August is a lower payment. So what I paid in July, yeah, it's interesting. I honestly don't feel as anxious as I thought I would. I thought making these tiny payments, tiny in relation to what I've been paying, because I, for context, worked in tech, was a tech lawyer, finally making the big bucks. My last legal job as corporate counsel, I made $165,000 a year. I believe in pay transparency. So yes, it took many years to finally get there. So I had originally allocated 70% of my paycheck. It got changed to maybe around 65% when I was like, yo, this is stressing me out. But a lot of money because I am child-free since 93, just to put that out there. And finally, making enough money to pay off my 6-figure loans. Spoiler alert, and a note to those of you if 6-figure loans have not caught you. Do not take out 6-figure debt if the field that you're going to go into does not also pay 6 figures. Yeah, and speaking of the legal field is a little shiesty. My first job out of law school as an attorney, I made $30,000. It took a good 2 years till I made $105. I live in New York City. $105 after taxes is $68,000. And the rent is sky high. Everything is not all roses, just to put some things into perspective. Now, why you're really here. So, guess who got fired? I know I shouldn't laugh, and it's not funny, but it is funny. And I figured we would do a little story time, a little, off the cuff, don't give a it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. So I was previously the diversity, equity, and inclusion program manager at this, I would say, medium-sized tech company. Despite them thinking they are big tech, it's not big tech, honey. Nowhere close. I was hired to run their brand new diversity, equity, and inclusion program. Yes, 2 years after the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery. Yes, shout out to that verdict. Finally, we are seeing some repercussions for actions. I won't say justice. Justice is being able to run in your neighborhood without people shooting you down. That was dark, as it should be, and uncomfortable. And Breonna Taylor, which her murderers also recently got indicted. So come on, justice system, I see you finally attempting to do the right thing. Small claps for that. 2 years later, the company decided, you know what? The Negroes have complained, people have quit, we have done a shit job at this. Let us hire someone to actually build out this program. Now, I'm gonna highlight a few issues as to why this outcome was inevitable, but as to why I think it's kind of comical towards the end. Because I know there are a few of you have DM'd me as well as left comments that people have told you that you would be great for a DEI role. And I'm here to tell you, honey, When I was hired, the company did not interview anyone for the department head role. They instead decided to slate in one of the executives in the marketing department. Let me say this again for you as to the root of where I knew this was going to go left. One of the executives in the marketing department with no experience was put in charge of a brand new diversity, equity, inclusion function. What are we going to do? Market away racism? Yeah, So that is strike one on me, because I assumed that maybe this person would defer to me since I had experience. For context, working in tech for 6 years, I built out 3 full DEI programs for free at the tech companies I worked at because they were cheap. They were cheap, and because I cared, and because honestly, I don't like people talking to me crazy or talking to other Black and brown people crazy. So I did it. And I figured, you know what? I have the energy. I have the chutzpah. I could do this. It'll be fine. I would tell this person, here are the boundaries. You don't have any experience. We're acknowledging that. That's fine. You seem lovely, but no. Problem number 1, these trainings, which I was not allowed to lead, they hired somebody else to lead, which honestly, thank God, because I'm not going to fake the funk. It's not in me. The company running diversity and inclusion trainings, specifically insisting on not mentioning the word racism. How are you going to run a diversity and inclusion training and not mention the word racism? Because, end quote, mentions of the words racism, homophobia, and transphobia cause friction. And when there's friction, we can't get the work done. Wow! Who knew racism caused friction? I think one of the funniest things that should not have been funny, and I shouldn't have laughed, and I laughed because I was like, y'all are lost, and I cannot help you, was when I brought up the fact that multiple people were complaining that these trainings, these trainings are very, vague. We're not mentioning racism, transphobia, homophobia. How are we going to nip the issues in the bud? Because people are experiencing aggressions. I hate the word microaggressions. No, it's an aggression. It's nothing small about it. You have ruined my day with your bullshit. My former boss feedback was, well, maybe we can send them a podcast list. A podcast list on racism. You want to send Black and brown people a podcast list on racism as if Black and brown people are not aware of what? And for context, because I'm sure the question is, what is that person's racial background? They are East Asian. And that is a loaded, nuanced conversation for another day, but also is why I vehemently do not agree with the blanket term POC. We're not all experiencing America the same. We're not. It's not happening. That's not the reality we're living in, particularly in tech and in corporate. Anyone that doesn't want to accept that is not living in reality. The data shows that. I guess now is a good time to point it out in terms of pay. Asian men make more than white men in tech. So proud of y'all. I'm glad somebody did it. Asian women make equal to white men in tech. Again, proud of y'all. I'm glad somebody did it. And the Black and browns are over here. So if we're going to have POC solidarity, I think some reaching back would be very helpful. And that's not to say that there aren't like active allyship in tech. I think there is, and I think at that company there were a few people. However, I would say across the board, and like this is just in America in general, when you want to push against a systemic issue, the marginalization and the treatment of Black and brown people in tech companies is a systemic issue. When you want to push against systemic issues, it doesn't help to have a one-off ally. It helps to have someone who also pushes against a system that is inherently benefiting them. And that's a hard ask for some people, which I understand, but it's an ask. The big crux of the issue was very transparently that whenever they were not interested in implementing the actual changes I wanted to, I'm very persistent. I'm very vocal. I got hired to do a job, and that job was to amplify the marginalized voices in the company, which the marginalized voices in tech across the board are solely, and I say this with my whole chest, Black and Hispanic / Latino / Latinx. Different people in that community like different things. So I'm just going to say all the things. We've talked about it on this channel. That's it. And all of the intersecting identities of that community. So LGBTQ, Black and brown people, trans, Black and brown people, etc. They didn't like that. I got told multiple times, Stephanie, you can't just focus on Black people. Correction, I've been focusing on the Black and Hispanic people, but you know, because that's who's marginalized across tech, which is why I have now taken huge issue, which I recently did a video on it, on what has been an interesting trend, I would say, across Instagram and from my perusal on TikTok of people wanting to push Black people specifically into tech. Girl, you need to join tech. That's where the money resides. So much money is in tech. This, that, the next, and the third. And how do you get treated in tech? Not well. For legal reasons. I'm not going to say all the things right now, but not well. It's very interesting to me, and particularly when people ask me like, oh, you think it's like that one company, or you think it's like a tech-wide issue? This is a corporate issue regardless. This is a tech-wide issue. Google, who people use as like the gold standard of doing well with DEI, is facing a huge class action lawsuit because allegedly what they would do was they would put Black women on a mental health leave. Nothing was actually wrong with any of these people, and then essentially push them out of their jobs. This is a rampant issues through tech. And to be honest, the reason why deep in my spirit, I'm not doing it again, and while I feel DEI is a sham, some of these companies put hundreds of millions of dollars towards this. Hundreds of millions of dollars to do content creation of paperwork, to pretend they're doing something, to be performative patty number one, and nothing gets done. If they wanted to do it, they would do it. If I want to put my makeup on and film my video, I'm gonna put my makeup on and film my video. I could write the script with the outline. I could talk about it. I could do research. I could do all those things. At a certain point, it's just distraction from doing the actual thing. I have to sit down and I have to film the video. Then I have to edit the video and I have to post the video. They wanted a performative Patricia, and what they got was Liberation Leah, and they did not like that. And that's okay. And you know what I find comical about this, to be honest? I told them that in the interview. I was like, listen, if you just want someone to check the boxes, while I don't agree, I understand, but let it be known, it's not me. I will irritate your spirit. That's what I told my former boss, because I'm taking this job as you want to make an investment into actually changing the fact that the highest levels of attrition in this place and in tech across the board are with Black women and Latinas. The lowest paid people in tech are Black women and Latinas. Oh yes, Stephanie, we're gonna do the things. We're gonna do the work. We're ready to do the work. Okay, let's do the work. And this was on Instagram like months ago. I had to give an entire presentation on why reverse racism has no basis in reality because numerous leaders complained to HR that reverse racism was occurring, yet their entire teams were white. First of all, it's not real. Second of all, let's pretend for a second that it was real and it was happening. Who else got hired? Ain't number white people. Like, what are you talking about? We're just mad that somebody was encouraging them to look at different types of candidates. Qualified candidates. No. I think having done it now and been through the experience, why I don't believe in D&I whatsoever at all. I don't think it works. I think anti-racism work works, which we can talk about that in a second. DEI is just a band-aid. DEI has existed for so long. If these companies wanted to do the things, they would do the things. You cannot tell me that a whole entire international corporation couldn't find not one black vice president. Not one. Oh, okay. It's a way to gaslight people is what I have realized now. So I would say for people that are interested in the field, not to discourage you, but to give like some sense of reality. These types of programs do not work, not solely because they're understaffed, always understaffed, child. How is one corporate Negro going to fix everything? That's what I want to know. Uno, magical Negro it up. It was going to be great. Not solely just because they're understaffed, but because there is no desire to actually change things. They will gaslight you into doing so much labor and then be like, well, Stephanie, nothing has changed. Well, yeah, I mean, all the labor you wanted me to do has to do with documenting the labor that we're doing that is worthless and is doing nothing instead of addressing the issue, which is firing the racists. What a concept. What a concept to let people know that actions have consequences. So the kicker being, the reason why, the pretext as to why I was fired was, and quote, Stephanie, 2 weeks ago we spoke about your lack of performance management skills. So we're going to have to let you go. Honey, that's not the process. 2 weeks? That's interesting. And thirdly, you're going to tell me, a whole ass lawyer that runs a whole YouTube channel, that all the project management skills are not there. Yeah, okay. I got sent to London, which is hilarious because honestly, I don't think I'd ever use my coins to go see my colonizer.
Now here comes the thieving queen from England.
It was nice. It was a free trip. Ironically enough, on the way back, the travel company that my previous job used actually accidentally booked me in what they thought was premium economy. I'm only allowed to sit in economy, you know. When they did that, they charged my card again. So I argued with them for like a month about it. I was like, hey, put me back in economy. Like, I'm not allowed, I won't get reimbursed for this. So after arguing with the travel agency for like literally 4 weeks, they refunded me my money. But they said, you know what? For all the hassle, Stephanie, we're so sorry. You can sit in premium economy. Well, color me surprised when I walked up to that seat. And that seat was in business class. So your girl got to fly business class for the first time ever in my life. I'm not going to lie. I try not to be classist and egregious. I try, very hard to remember where I came from. If I ever was going to actually be motivated by money, it would be to sit in business class. That shit was nice. I'm not going to lie. I see why the girls are shelling out the cash for the business class. I see why. Wow. I also have lots of plane anxiety, and that was the best flight of my life. It reclined. Craziness. So I say that to say, I got back from London on a Saturday and I got fired on the Tuesday. So corporate sent me off in style. So what am I going to do with myself now? Hang out with y'all. So I have been for a long time feeling like, oh, I could try this. I am going to, and have been, so this happened in July, and so for the past month, have been mapping out doing content creation full time. And the only reason why I can laugh about the situation, to be honest, and the reason why my payment was so low for the month of June, and why for the past month it has actually $3,000 lower than like usual, is because I saved up a huge, I guess like emergency savings fund, an FU fund for what it's worth. I saved up a lot of X money, specifically 8 months worth of Vex money, 8 months of all of my expenses. I prepaid my rent all the way to October, to be honest, to be able to just do what I want to do. So getting fired was kind of like, all right, well, you're Vex, I'm not Vex. So I'll just use the Vex money is there. And it's been really interesting, I would say like the past month for me, because I saved up all that Vex money because in my spirit, I knew that these people ain't shit. And what's been interesting to me to sit in a space of why I keep saying like, oh, I'm done with corporate. Like, I'm not done with that job. I'm done with corporate. I'm done with it. Is the math is barely mathing, but it's there. And that has been a wonderful thing to realize like, hey, I can do this. Because for a long time, I started this channel. Actually, also, shout out to the channel. The 2-year anniversary of the channel was Saturday, was August 6th. So shout out to the channel, is 2 years old as of Saturday. And was interesting when I started the channel, I was like, oh, it's gonna be my little hobby. Like, it'll be fun, something to do during the pandemic, starting the pandemic. You know, it'll be great. It was the 3rd time trying this. So for those of you that don't know, Shayna, my best friend, and I, in 2017, made one video about having natural hair in the workplace. Because child corporate been trying people. And I loved it. We had so much fun. It took us 3 months to make, I think, what's like a 4-minute video. It's still there if you want to scroll back and watch it. And I had so much fun, but either of us didn't like editing. And she was like, oh, you can do it by yourself. This was your idea. You just do it. And I was like, oh, but I didn't want to do it by myself. I don't want to be one of those people talking to themselves in the camera. One of those people now. I don't mind it. It was just funny. And then 2 years later, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it in 2019 by myself. Made one video, which I think is funny, about your nosy coworkers. The lighting is shit. The sound is shit. It's all shit. The video, literally, I'm like all the way back here. It looks crazy. It looks crazy. Forgot about it. Then the pandemic came and I was like, you know what? That damn YouTube is sitting there. Let me try it. I want to do something for me. Started with the student loan series. Kept the student loan series, but pivoted and did more. So I was like, oh, I can make my legal degree work for me and let's talk about pop culture, etc. And it grew from something, I would say, in 2021 to something where secretly I was like, I would love to do this. If I was allowed to dream big and just let myself dream big, I would love to do content creation. But the looming thing over my head has been, since I graduated law school, and now, my student loans. I have paid off, which I'm not about to do the math right now, but like $140,000 in 2.5 years. A little bit more than that. And the reason why I think it's more than 304, that was a starting point, and that wasn't inclusive of all of the interest that I've paid. It says 133. I've paid off 140 grand because I can look through my receipts of what I've paid because I actually owed more than 304. That is a different argument into why doesn't Sally Mae and FedLoan show you all of the interest you've actually accrued. But anyways, and that was always looming over my head. I was like, no, I can't just do this thing that I'm very passionate about and I think I'm good at. And I would like to just try it because I have these student loans. And so then I was like, well, I'm doing both. Everything is fine. Like, it's mad hectic, but it's fine. It's going well. I'm really enjoying this. I would love the opportunity. And so when I quit my job and I took this job with D&I, I told myself, which flashback to the video of me quitting my job, I told myself, like, yo, if they're not about it, I'll quit this job. I don't give a damn. Which I think is ironic that corporate said, no, we're going to end spicy, sis. Corporate is a petty little man. I'm convinced. Would the financially best practice would be to stay in corporate at my past job? So for those of you that are like, oh, I'm going to work in DI, or some companies actually have anti-racism programs. Those I think work because with an anti-racism program, you have to address the elephant in the room, which is anti-Black racism. America is built on anti-Black racism. Those I think work. So with my last job, so that way y'all have a barometer of how much to ask for, I made $135,000 a year base salary. My bonus was supposed to be $20,000. And then I also had stock options as well. So that way you have a barometer for what to ask for, because don't let these people play you. Because when I interviewed for that job, they told me 105 grand. And I said, absolutely not. You want me to deal with racism for 105 grand? Girl, bye. Absolutely not. So that way you have a barometer. The safest thing to do was like, hey, if this doesn't work, I will stay in corporate until I get my loans under 6 figures, right? And what's been interesting for me and what's kind of scary is betting on myself. I've bet on all these companies. Working in tech is literally betting on companies because I've worked in a Series A company that literally went bottoms up while I was still working there and I didn't get paid for 6 weeks. Me and corporate have had a dance, okay? We've had a go. We've had a time. And I'm excited to finally bet on me. Maybe it'll fail. But maybe, and actually now that I'm doing the math, I think it'll be fine. And if it's not fine, I have the money set aside. So the Vex money is there to cushion. So if I don't do it, then I will take my humble self to some other type of labor. I don't think I could go back to corporate, child. Absolutely not. I don't want to. Knock on wood. Knock on wood, I'm not coming back. And being like, oh yeah, I went back. Ew. There's a lot of privilege in that, to be honest, to be able to say with a straight face, like, hey, for the first time in my life, I'm going to bet on me. I'm gonna see what happens. I don't have children. Not having children gives me so much financial freedom, to be honest, which is why I don't have children. Maybe later, but right now, we want money. Who's feeding them? Also, because I have worked in corporate as a lawyer, I did finally make a good salary. 165 grand was a good salary. 135 grand was a good salary. That's a lot of money. And I'm doing the math, and I am not I'm not really a money motivated person. I just want enough money to pay off my student loans. If we take out my huge student loan payments, it doesn't cost much to be me a month. Because I'm pretty frugal. Besides these new earrings that I just bought. I feel like every once in a while I'm like, oh, I bought new earrings. I bought these new earrings owned by this lovely black Latina. I'm forgetting what the name of it is. It's called Clay. Nope. I kept it next to me because I wanted to say it. Clay Jewels by Jules. And she is on Instagram, small vendor that I saw in Brooklyn Museum. So I was like, I'm gonna buy these earrings. This is a very like all over the place video. The past month has been very like, well, we're just gonna try the things. And I would say, you know what's been interesting? To be a woo-woo for 5 seconds. What's been interesting is when I had a little bit of doubt, because I've never gotten fired. I've gotten laid off. I used to work at WeWork corporate when the whole thing crashed. Everyone got laid off. So there was like no reason of feeling bad. Like I felt bad because it was my dream job, but I knew it wasn't me. I was like literally 30% of the people got laid off. But I've never gotten fired. So at first I was like, I'm getting fired for the first time in my life. Like this is wild. But I'm getting fired for wanting to do the right thing and for being vocal that they weren't willing to do the thing. Well, fuck it then. Let's get fired. I guess this is the best way to say F you to corporate and to be done with it. And what was interesting is that happened on a Tuesday. On the Wednesday, I was like, all right, well, I mapped out my schedule for the day. I'm going to go film content. I'm going to go do this. Like nothing happened, which didn't allow me to process it. So then by the weekend, I was kind of running the math because, I have a budget, right? I'm running the math and I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I wasn't planning for this on this day. Like, I don't know. What if the math is not mathing? And then I started to be very nervous, understandably so. But I looked and I was like, well, I have all this Vex money, so it doesn't really matter for the rest of the year. And then the crazier thing happened was in July, so many good things happened for the channel. I had my first viral video, which wild. That's been like a wild thing. Also, I feel a way that it's that video. I'm not going to lie. I feel a way. And I feel like if you've been on this channel long enough, you know why I feel a way. There are so many other like serious videos. So like go watch the Roe v. Wade video. But that has been interesting. And I don't have to touch my Vex money right now. And hopefully if I continue down this path, I actually won't touch my Vex money at all this year. And that's the way it's looking. And that has been a wild experience. I'm so grateful. And I've been trying to sit in gratefulness versus sitting in anxiety, which that is hard to do as somebody who has nickeled and dimed and tracked every damn penny for the past 2.5 years just to pay off these predatory loans. But here I am trying. So with that, I would say if you do the math, and your math is mathing, and there are no little children for you to feed. I'm just gonna put that out there again because that's a different ball game. Why not bet on you? If the math is mathing, why not bet on you? So I will leave y'all with that. And on that note, so basically, now that I have more time, and I've been like implementing this throughout the past month, which as time goes on, this will become much more seamless. But basically, we've brought back our Thursday lives. So lives are always going to be on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. They're a little earlier now, so I don't keep y'all during dinner, which is great. And then we'll also have a filmed edited video once a week. So 2 videos a week. I don't want it to be like too many so that way it's not like super overwhelming. And then on Patreon, we're doing bi-weekly lives on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. EST. And we're doing Instagram lives for the first time, which I'm not going to say what day because I haven't gotten there. It's going to pop up when it pops up. When when it pops up. I'm gonna try get it to Mondays so that way we're spreading things out throughout the week. But it's gonna pop up when it pops up. So I'm super excited. I'm excited for this new journey. And the funny thing was I feel like there were so many people that saw this for me when I couldn't see it for myself. And that has been so humbling and amazing to see, which is just, it's been kind of mind-blowing. There have been a lot of people in my life that are like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And it's been interesting. So now I finally feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which has been a weird thing. That has been a weird thing the past 4 weeks, just sitting in that. Yeah, I'm really proud of you. Really proud of you. No, I think we'd get here. Really, really proud of you. Oh. You didn't do the closing though. Foolish.